Ronin Aggro is a deck based on dealing a bunch of damage from a far range, staying in red to farm focus, and constantly stepping back and pushing the opponent away to make sure they can't easily pressure you. The deck's benefits include a high damage potential, a good ability to play at far ranges, and a Kame tree built for farming focus. But the deck does still struggle at close ranges, and usually has to use Core the Terror to deal with opponents getting behind you. The deck is also extremely red Kame dependent, so any card that switches your Kame to green or yellow becomes much harder to include because of that. The way that you will be taking on games is a few-step process. The run, hit, defend, and run, hit, kill cycle. Step 1, run, is pretty obvious. You want to be staying at range 2 or 3 from your opponent, and this gives a lot of characters very few options on how to match your damage, and lets you land a variety of moves at a lot of different initiatives, especially at range 2. At this point, you are in step 2. Hit and are threatening anything from initiative 7 bull rushes and dash down strikes and wolf bounces to initiative 6 lunging thrust and feral sweep to an initiative 5 naginata sweep and even an unblockable oxen barge. So when you get to this range, you hit, and your opponent will probably have to get hit if they want to close the distance. Then comes the last part of the 3-step process, which changes depending on the stage of the game. If your opponent is still fairly healthy and threatening to start snowballing their damage, you start defending. Cards that both defend and make distance become really important here, which is why we run Fend, Focused Guard, and even Swift Block. Calm Defense is another insane tool at this stage, with its arc and initiative both being good, having a backstep, and giving focus. You use these to both defend and run, so you can get back to hitting the opponent from your preferred distance. However, if your opponent is close to death, that being 1 or 2 wounds away from it, you are still the threat even up close. Though Ronin does struggle up close, this deck uses the Blazing Sun Restricted School to help out with that. Both Severing Cut and Wild Swing are huge threats to an opponent near death, so although they do only make up 1/10 of your deck, your opponent still cannot freely attack you if it means risking their death to a wild swing. This is of course not taking emergency block into account, but sadly yes, if your opponent emergency blocks your 1 melee attack in your hand, you simply have to go back to running. But you get to abuse this as well, as having 2 swift blocks and an evasive step means you can continue the kill step while also defending. Now that about sums up most scenarios, but I do want to directly say that early game you do not want to approach. Stand still, run, build focus. That's it. You do not need to walk at all. Your opponent will not be able to play at a high enough range as you. Just trust me on that one. Meet their sidesteps if anything, so you can keep threatening a range 3 lunging thrust, and even splitting strike if your opponent does not know which school you are in. But just use the instance to safely get focus. You will need it when you start firing your golds. Now, this seems fairly straightforward, and it mostly is, but I would still like to talk about a few matchups where things become different. When playing against Ashigaru, target the dog first. Menacing Growl will be a pain in your ass, and trying to run while this little is all up in your face is a big headache. So try to seize the first opportunity to Wild Swing, Lunging Thrust, Carved Fang, whatever gets rid of it in 1 strike. Assassin, Ninja, and Monk are the only characters that will try to run more than you will. I still wouldn't say to carelessly approach though in most matchups you can pressure opponents with bleed, especially in the case of ones like Ninja and Monk. This will not work on Assassin. Assassin you have to kill as fast as possible, as you will not be able to match the bleeds. Approaching will be hard, but at least for Ninja and Assassin, you will usually not be in smoke bomb range, which gives you a decent advantage. As for Monk, you bleed, you threaten, you stun. Use your pushes to give him more stuns than he can handle and hope that he doesn't top deck like crazy. A similar case for Wako, except Wako will not be staying in corners as much as Monk. The Terror, Lunging Thrust, and Oxen Barge are your only ways to give stuns without pushes, so make sure to land them. Generally, Quick Dodge and Evasive Step will be your best friends against him, so note that. Let him out of Hulks, Bukons, and Broadside Slams, and then you are mostly safe. And as with the other 7 wound character, bleeds are highly effective if you can run well enough. As for the rest of the cast, only your RPS specifics will be different. Some characters approach a lot, so you will have to deal more damage with Severing Cut. Some characters struggle with fast moves, so you can steal some games with Whirlwind. But of course, every matchup is different. Some are just more different than others. As for which cards I would include, they would mostly be things to help with specific matchups. Pummel Smash isn't generally recommended, seeing that it makes you approach, but it can be a useful anti-Waku tool. And Taunt and Ripping Claws are easy to proc, but do little for the deck's main game plan. However, matchups where hand control and bleed are more important may warrant these to be run, so a few of these might prove to be needed if you find yourself struggling too much in those matchups. Thank you for watching. This video has been very fun to make, and I hope you enjoyed it too. Community resources such as the Senjutsu Discord and deck repository are in the description, as well as my community Discord if you are interested. I'd appreciate if you left a like and subscribe, but either way, have a nice rest of the day, and I hope the video helped you out. Bye!